discovered that we spend $7,000 per child on average in TCISD, Texas City ISD. $7,000 a child. That's about $140,000 a classroom. Is education priceless? What's enough? You guys are paying for it. Maybe it is priceless. Maybe money is not an option. These are the kind of things that we need to become aware of, we need to get smart about, we need to get involved. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker. This is Apostle Claver, and he has a lot of fun. Why don't you come on up? I'm going to pass the mic to you. Ready, set, go.
That's my favorite kind of introduction. Here, Claver, get up here.
Better than get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I go to some places, man. They start reading. He was born, and he's 5'10" and 160 pounds, whatever. Thank y'all for coming tonight. See so many friends here. Rachel, thank you for the invitation. Jerry, thank you so much. It's good to see so many good friends here tonight. And I'm really going to get into the heart of it and the meat of it right away, because I have so much information to share with you. And I know we have a good mixture of folks here that are have a lot of political acumen, and there may be a few neophytes still here. But I'm going to trust that the information that I'm going to share with you today, you will be able to easily digest it, and will be able to understand how critical the conservative movement really is. We think that we are burgeoning. We believe that we are growing. We're growing in intensity and power, but there are still some very serious challenges as a movement that we are going to have to address, and address them quickly. But before you got involved with the Tea Party, just a show of hands, if you were to make an honest assessment of yourself, before the Tea Party movement got started, who would say that they were not really politically active? Raise your hands. Okay, that's the majority in the room. Okay, that's the majority in the room. So your real first foray into politics is now your involvement with maybe the Clear Lake Tea Party first, and then potentially the Galveston Tea Party, that kind of thing, right? I got you kind of pegged correctly, right? That's right, okay. So, let me see if this group is pretty much like every other group that I talk to that's Tea Party or Project 912 or other grassroots organizations. You guys know how much I travel around the state, right? Y'all have a clue. You see my schedule. In September, I'll be on the road about 22 days throughout the state. Okay? You saw a few things happen that actually has you here tonight. Because you weren't politically involved before the Tea Parties. So let me see if we can get some identifiers here. The first thing that happened was, in 2007, you saw Nancy Pelosi take the gavel of the People's House. And you had the kind of reaction you're having right now, right? And you weren't quite aware of who Harry Reid was at the time, but you know who he is now, don't you? Right? Okay, but when Pelosi took the gavel and Harry Reid became majority leader of the Senate, you still sat there. Because the first Tea Party wasn't even held until February the 27th of 2009.
Tea Party's late. We've been around a while.
But you didn't raise your hand, right? You weren't really.
I was politically active.
That's all right. But I asked those who weren't politically active. Okay. All right. Now something happened. And something else happened. On January the 20th, 2009, a legitimate, bona fide, can't be debated, certifiable socialist took the oath of office for president. Am I right? Okay. Then you said, wait a minute, that's enough. Because before then, let me kind of give you a clue what you were kind of like. You were kind of like the proverbial frog in the pot. The flame and heat of tyranny was being turned up slowly. Your liberties were being eroded or evaporated away, boiled away slowly. But then January 20th of 2009 came, and that flame and that heat got turned up real hot, real fast. And not only did you jump out of the pot, you jumped off the sofa. And here you are tonight. Am I right? All right. The reason that you're here is because of one thing: election results. Election results. What we're suffering as a nation, and to me, even more importantly, what we're suffering as a state, is the end result of election results. What happened at the polls, who wins and who loses. And the only way that you are going to change the condition of the country, improve the quality of life for our state, is by one way: election results. Marching's not going to do it. Protesting is not going to do it. Petitions aren't going to do it. Rallies aren't going to do it. You are going to have to win elections. Period. Put the right people in the right office right now. So, everything that we're going to be talking about tonight is pointed towards one thing: winning elections. That's all we're talking about tonight. And if you are focused only on 2012, admittedly, extremely important election, but if you're only focused on 2012 right now and making Obama a one-term president, may I suggest that you take a pill, because you are suffering from short-sightedness. We're talking about tonight, winning elections, what it's going to take to win elections well into the future. We're talking already 2020, we're already talking about 2032. Not just 2012. So, with that in mind, let's see if we can get ourselves in a CAT scan, an MRI, an X-ray of what the political topography is right now for our nation, and once again, our state. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I love my country. I love my country. But Texas is number one. Okay? So, because I'm going to tell you right now, if America goes belly up, all we got left is Texas.
That's enough. All right.
All we got left is Texas. All right. Don't think it can't happen.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm ready to pull out.
It's pretty nutty, you know. All right. So in order for us, let me get a little better focus here. You got to tell me if it's in focus or not, because I need LASIK. Okay. All right. So let's talk about where we've been in order for us to understand where we need to go. So this is a comparison of election cycles 04 to 08 presidential, and we can't make these comparisons again until 2012. Well, why? Because you got to compare apples and apples. And what you're seeing here is in 04, in the state of Texas, which has 254 counties, John Kerry only won 18 of those counties. In 08, Barack Obama won 10 more, 28 counties. All right? Now, you're saying out of 254 counties, only 28. Well, you see a bad trend going here. The trend went up, and it's not about which counties that are won and lost, or the number of counties that are won or lost. It's about which counties that are won or lost. Okay? Now, GOP growth, 04 to 08. These are the counties that actually had the largest amount of Republican Party growth in 04 to 08. 2% or more. That's going to be the red here. And for the sake of time, I'm going to jump, and I'll try to explain this chart to you. We're going to see the ones that had the greatest amount of Democratic Party growth. And here they are. They're going to be the ones in the deep blue. And here's Galveston right down here in the green. So you actually had a small growth, less than 1% growth of Republican Party growth from 04 to 08 in that presidential election cycle. Well, look at the counties that had the greatest amount of Democratic Party growth. Montgomery, El Paso, Brazoria, Tarrant, Harris, Bexar, Fort Bend, Dallas, Collin, Travis. Look at Williamson, which is just north of Travis County. Here's Hayes, just south of Travis County. Here's Denton, up in the DFW area. Here's Bell, up there on the I-35 corridor. Okay, it's what we call the Texas Big Six. Dallas-Fort Worth, San Antonio and Austin, El Paso, Rio Grande Valley, and the greater Houston area, which of course includes Galveston County. The Texas Big Six. What we're seeing is that as far as Republicans go, which is supposed to be the harbinger of conservative pro-constitutional principles, the Republican Party is losing ground and weakest in urban, suburban, major metropolitan areas. In these areas, what you will find is that the parties are usually the weakest when it comes to infrastructure, with high vacancy rate of precinct chairs, and are usually struggling financially. To underscore this, we're going to jump real quickly to the 2010 gubernatorial race, just real quick to underscore this weakness in the metropolitan areas. And what you see here is that Governor Perry only won one major county in the state, and that was Tarrant. All the other major metropolitan counties, Bill White won. Okay? And I want you to also look at the turnout levels here. Turnout in 2010. And I want you to also see, even in Tarrant, that was almost a 30% drop-off in turnout from the 2008 election. Yes, we picked up 25 new seats in the House. We were able to maintain our majority in the state Senate. Those seats that we lost in the previous 3 election cycles in the House of 04, 06, and 08, we were able to regain those in 2010, but understand why. Because the Democrats didn't show up. They did not show up. We did. We did not expand our base, they just didn't show up. Alright? Now let's jump back to 04, 08 comparisons. And what you'll see is these are our fastest growing Republican counties in the state. And if you add them all up, there are 89.3 thousand registered voters in those 10 counties, the 10 fastest growing counties. If you go to the 10 fastest Democratic growing counties, you have about 3.2 million registered voters. So now if you expand it out, if you go from just the top 10 to the top 50, what does it look like? The 50 fastest Republican counties have just under 638,000 registered voters. The 50 fastest growing Democratic counties, just under 9 million registered voters. Now why is this? Because 70% of our population lives in these urban, suburban, metropolitan areas. The vast majority of the electorate lives in those Texas Big Six by far. Texas can no longer be classified as a rural state. Not like Tennessee, where we just broke ground. Tennessee, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Memphis only make up 25% of their population. They're still very much a rural state. That's opposite of what we are, Texas. We are very much urbanized now. Just a reminder, across the state line in county line in Harris County, Obama was the first presidential candidate, Democratic candidate, to win Harris County since LBJ. That was a function of high Democratic Party turnout. So we always thought Harris County was Big Red, the 3rd largest county in the country, soon to be the 2nd largest county, the 4th largest city in the country, soon to be by the next census, it will surpass Chicago. It's all been a mirage. All you needed was a strong Democratic candidate at the top of the ticket with a good ground game, and the county identified itself as being straight up purple. Okay? Now, let me ask you a question. We're going to talk about, we're going to do some more drilling down. Okay, but I want to ask you a question at this point, and this isn't to offend anybody, as if that bothers me anyway. But I just want you to play along with me for a second, all right? If you believe in God, raise your hand. Oh, good. No altar call tonight. That's good. All right. All right. One more time. Raise your hand if you believe in God. All right. So all of us that have our hands raised, including yours truly, the Bible says we all qualify to be demons. Oh, look at all those hands drop. Right? James chapter 2. Even the demons believe that there's one God and shudder or tremble. They're in fear, but they're demons. They believe in one God, but they're demons. They do everything opposite God wants done. They're an enmity to God and a terrible influence on us and our acts. Is that correct? What does the Lord say in John chapter 3? What does he tell Nicodemus? He says, you must be born again, right? Can't be born a Christian, have to be born again, right? In Matthew 18, what does he say? He says, you have to be changed or converted, depending on which version of the Bible that you study. Now, one of my favorite verses is Titus chapter 1, verse 16. You ought to read it when you get home. It says, there's a lot of folks, paraphrasing of course, there's a lot of folks who say they believe in God, but by their actions, they deny Him, and they ain't good for nothing. Now I'm quoting my Bible. It actually says they ain't good for nothing. All right. Well, what is the Word trying to teach us? That it's not merely us saying, I believe, that makes me, us, a believer. No. It's about our struggle. It's about our Romans chapter 7 struggle that Paul talks about. Us trying to do the commands of God, that proves that we love Him, that we belong to Him, and will never be perfect. That's why we serve a God of grace and mercy. That's why we lean on the work of the cross. But it's the attempt to try that marks us. So you can say we believe all we want to, but our wanting to please Him, wanting to obey Him, allows His grace to be poured out on us. Well, why this sermonette? Because there's a political parallel. There's a political parallel. See, look, there's people out there, more importantly, voters out there, that believe just like we do on the vast majority of the buzzword issues, the buzz issues. Want to see the end of the income tax, want to see the IRS dismantled. Pro-Second Amendment. Strong immigration enforcement, even to the point of deportation. Pro-life. Okay? They believe marriage is one man, one woman, biblically defined. Education reform with more parental choice. Okay? Believe in a strong military, an America First foreign policy. Don't believe in the welfare system and wealth redistribution. Believe in free market solutions to our economic woes. Believe in capitalism. They believe that the church should be actively involved in the political process. But there's a problem. They don't vote that way. Now the challenge for us is to understand that in order for us to win elections, we've got to get these people who believe like we do to vote like we do. Because if we are unsuccessful in this endeavor, we will not win elections now and in the future. So, just like the person who raises their hand and says, I believe in God, but their life doesn't reflect it, and the Bible says, the Lord Jesus Himself says, they need to be changed or converted. The voter who believes in our conservative principles that have withstood the test of time, but they don't vote that way, needs to be what? Can't hear you. Wait, say it like you're persuaded. Okay, let's talk about conversion politics. How do you get people who believe like we do to join our ranks and vote like we do? Because we have to have them in order to win elections. Now, generally Tea Parties are nonpartisan. This is a disclaimer. This is a nonpartisan stance. I don't mean to step on your toes, but since George Washington, this country has been a two-party system. You better choose one or the other. And the Republican Party, at least on paper, is supposed to be the harbinger of conservative pro-constitutional principles. So, you only have two main mechanisms to get candidates elected, Democrat or Republican. Admittedly, the Republican Party needs an enema, and we're working on that, all right? But, if the GOP is going to win elections, there's two things that we're primarily going to have to do on a broad scale. I want to take notes on this. The first thing we're going to have to do is erode the traditional base of support of the Democrats. In other words, these folks that traditionally, habitually, generationally vote Democrat, you're going to have to find a way to crowbar them away from those ranks, some sort of way. And you can't let them float out there and become independents, because independents have way too much sway on elections as it is right now. You got to find a way to make them rock rib red, faithful Republican voters. All right? In order to do that, you're going to have to expand the base through non-traditional voting blocks. You're going to have to go into places, into territories where normally Republicans don't go. You have to expand the base. Now, why is this? Because if you have a party and candidates that are focused only on energizing the base, and you hear it all the time, energize the base, energize the base. Well, look, if our base is smaller than their base, which it is, and we're focused only on energizing the base, come election day, what happens? Didn't hear you? I'm just telling y'all, I come from a noisy church. Y'all don't have to talk to me, okay? All you Episcopalians and Presbyterians and stuff out here, okay, come on, let's talk, all right? We're family here. All right, now, look, you can have 100 Sarah Palins on the ballot. You can have Sarah Palin to the 100th power on the ballot. We can all be so energized to where our hair is on end like we licked a static ball. But if our base is smaller than their base, and all we're focused on is energizing the base, come election day, what's going to be the result? You lose. So it's no longer, in this day and age, it is no longer about merely energizing the base, which you must. You got to go beyond that. You have to expand the base. Can y'all say that? Expand the base. One more time. One more time. So, when you are vetting potential leaders, especially party leaders, you got to look at them square in the eye and ask them, what is your plan? What is your strategy? What tactics are you going to employ to expand the base? When you are looking at candidates, because everybody has a responsibility and a role, you got to ask them, quite frankly, what is your strategies, your plans? Which tactics are you going to use to expand the base? To go into territories that normally Republicans don't go. Now, especially if you're looking at party leadership, I'm talking national, state, and county. You're going to have to look them straight. You're going to have to ask them, and you are going to have to use your spirit of discernment. Straight in the eye, and ask them. And if they don't give you a rational, logical, shrewd, sagacious answer, it's on you. You're the bosses. You're going to have to tell them. Thank you so much for your service. But in this time and in this era, you may be eligible to be on the ballot, but you're not qualified. Could you please find somewhere else to serve? Because you're going to get in the way. And you can't be pussyfooting around with it.
No.
You guys know me. I'm always straight, no chaser. I really don't have time for tact. I don't have time, right? I'm just gonna give it to you straight, no chaser. And you have to be the same way. Look, man, until you come up with a plan that's gonna expand the base of this party, that's gonna give us a better chance to win, don't talk to me about getting my vote for you to be a party leader. We've suffered enough of that. We're suffering for it now. Right now. Okay? So, that's on y'all. It's on y'all. Don't be looking at me. Alright. So, let's look at demographics. United States demographics. Oh, jeez. I keep forgetting to do this. I'm sorry, y'all. This is a little bit behind. Alright. Right now, this is the Caucasian portion of the population is actually around 63. Hispanics are at 16, about 16.6. African Americans are about the same, 12.8. Asians are a little bit closer to 5. Alright? Now, wherever we go, as an organization, and we establish a beachhead somewhere, you know, whether it's Memphis or California or whatever, we have to study the demographics. And what we have found is this constant. I discovered it really by accident. Whenever you get the Caucasian portion of the population, state, county, city, and especially the percentage of the electorate, the white portion of the electorate, around 62 to 63%, Republicans have a tough time winning. Doesn't matter. State, county, cities, whenever the white population gets to that threshold, especially as a portion of the electorate of about 63%, Republicans start having a struggle to win. And this is where we are nationally right now. Right now. USA voters by ethnicity in the 2008 election. Okay, so let me explain this to you. And I'm gonna kind of walk across here, so kind of explain this. Okay, so the John McCain share of the white vote, Barack Obama share of the white vote, John McCain share of the Hispanic vote, Barack Obama share of the Hispanic vote, John McCain share of the black vote. It's basically just me.